With the wind streaming through our hair and the sun in our eyes, we ran over the schoolyard going home after school. My sweater was still a little damp from the hide-and-seek games during the break throughout the school day, when it was a light rain coming down on us. We didn't really bother, it was fun just to be running our legs off. Heading home, I ran, my friend had his BMX, and my other friend had his skateboard. I threw myself through the door. "Mom, I'm home!" Straight into the kitchen, stuffing my pockets full with what I could find. Hard bread, meatballs, carrots, raisins. I chugged a glass of tap water and then straight for the door. Jumping into my shoes and out, still struggling with the right shoe. It was always the right shoe for some reason. "Dinner at 6. Yes, Mom, we're going to the tree patch," I yelled halfway out. The tree patch. That was our name for a plot in the village with huge fruit trees. Pears, cherry, apple. There had been a house before, so the trees were remnants from a garden. And it served as a good place for us to build tree forts and to give us a good snack in the summer and the autumn. I ran all the way, munching whatever I had in my pockets. It was about 1.5 km there. I met my friends and we spent all afternoon and evening climbing, building, playing, moving stuff around. Often it ended with, "Oh man, I'm late again, I need to run." And we ran, and we skated, and we biked, whatever way we got there. Hello, and welcome to ActiveCast, a podcast about moving and health for people who sit still a lot. This podcast is aimed to our streamers, YouTubers, gamers, parents with video game interested children, and basically towards everyone who sits still a lot in their job or their hobby. I am Marcus, I'm your host here and the writer and the producer of the podcast. I have a PhD in biology and I have been a running coach for over a decade, and I am a avid long distance runner. I love ultra running, and particularly in woods and the mountains. I have been a gamer for 30 plus years, and I also stream on Twitch, which is a platform for live streaming of games, music, crafting, and among other things. So you can find me there at Fahloin, Fahloin. Ever since I was a young boy, I have been moving a lot. I'm of that age that I was born before the internet was even invented. Me and my friends were out moving all day because that's what we had. Gradually, video games were introduced to our lives through Commodore 64, Amiga, Nintendo 8-bit. This was of course attractive, and we played a lot. Games were not super sophisticated and they were not very available to us. And since we grew up being out moving a lot, it was easy for us to get out there and continue exploring and move around in our surroundings. We knew every path and shortcut in the village. We knew where the best apples grew, and we knew where to meet up with others for a spontaneous basketball game or just to hang out and talk about music. As the internet evolved and video games, parallel to that, games got better and more attractive and more available to us. I remember spending a whole day at my friend's place playing Sid Meier's Pirates or Civilization 1 on his Amiga. He had a disc station and not a tape recorder that I had for my Commodore. You know, it could easily take like 10 minutes to load a game and then hopefully it started. And if it did not, you had to start over again. Me and my friends started to build PCs from scrap parts we got hold from our parents' workplaces when they were discarded. And when I got my first real PC, the games have become pretty good. There were so many games I remember playing the living soul out of, like Civilization, Monkey Island, Half-Life, Doom, Grand Theft Auto 1, and so on. I started to compete on an amateur level on Counter-Strike 1.6 with some friends, and I found gaming friends all over the world, and I was hooked. Throughout this timeline, one thing always follows though. We had a foundation in moving around, which also showed because we always met up and we walked around the city 2 laps or maybe 12 laps. We climbed some new trees, we explored a new stream, or we just hung out in the schoolyard talking about games and new internet forums that we have found. I always enjoyed long distance running. As young, it was about moving around, and even pretty long distances. I never saw it as anything else than a mode of transport. When getting a little bit older, It was natural for me to do it and a way for me to decompress after studying or after work. I often got questions about how I could keep it up and where one could start running and how to think about exercises and training. When I started a stream on Twitch about 4 years ago, I found that those questions were very present among streamers, YouTubers and gamers in general. I heard the same questions over and over. I have helped a number of streamers to get going, to start moving, and to get their mindset that works for them, to find a sustainable way to look at movement, exercise and training. To see that it does not have to be difficult or overwhelming, to understand why physical health and mental health are so tightly linked together, and why everything in life gets easier with some movement and exercise in it. All this led up to the idea behind ActiveCast, a podcast to help people to start moving and to continue and grow their exercise they're already doing. To help the person who never exercised in their life to find inspiration and tips and tricks to get going, to start moving. So, what can you as a listener expect from this podcast? Well, the main focus will be interviews with content creators, such as streamers and YouTubers. We will talk about their way of thinking about movement and exercise and training. What do they do for exercise, or why don't they exercise? What works for them and what does not work for them? How do they motivate themselves, and what are they struggling with when they don't find the motivation? What are their challenges? What are their goals? How do they overcome the challenges? And maybe why do they not overcome the challenges? There will also be interviews with a physiotherapist that has had their focus on esports and gamers for many years. We will talk about stretching, posture and movement. We will talk about shoulders, backs and hips. We will talk about chairs, desks and other peripherals that we will all think that we need. What do we really need them? And what does our bodies say? We will talk about the eye, the blue light from the screens. We will basically talk about a lot of the topics a lot of us forces our body to deal with. I hope this podcast can give you some inspiration and motivation to get going and start exercising or to develop the exercise you're already doing. I hope you will get some tips and tricks that works for you. I also hope that you will get some good stories from the people being interviewed throughout the episodes. So, welcome to ActiveCast. The episodes will be available where you listen to podcasts. I hope you will enjoy it and spread the word. If you want to, you can also post a question in the comments on our YouTube channel or drop a mail to activecastpod@gmail.com or send a message to @activecastpod on Twitter. The episodes are planned to be up every second week, and the first episode will be released on the 8th of May. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon again.